Hello, my name is Matt Nolf. I'm with PNG Technologies out of Michigan. We're a supplier of propane and natural gas kits for generators. Today we're going to be showing you the propane and natural gas conversion for the newest version that Predator come out with. This is the 9500 inverter. This one here is a challenging unit to do. I will say that to the least. When you see me get into this, you'll understand it's definitely doable. This is going to be a little longer video than I normally do because of all the steps we got to go through on this. But it definitely can be done. It's a really nice unit. There's a couple things I'll show you that I felt that could have been changed a little bit different, but you know how that goes. So again, this will be a custom kit designed for this unit. So we'll go ahead and get started on that and show you the steps. Okay, now everything that I have touched on this unit so far has been 8mm and 10mm. And I've used a pair of pliers basically. So that's basically the three tools you'll use, except for a couple other miscellaneous things we got to do. But go ahead, this cover is 8. Remove the cover. We'll expose the inside here. Set that to the side. Now we'll go ahead and we're going to show you, we have to remove all this panel in the front cover. And I'll show you why that in this next step here. Okay, now if you decide you don't even want to switch this over to an alternative fuel, first of all, this air cleaner design, if you look in here, you cannot even get your hand underneath or back in here to get that bottom clip off to remove it. Now obviously you can get this clip off up here, but that bottom one you cannot. So what I did is I got a bracket here that I could mount up to this and kind of press the engine back, and then that'll give you where you can get back in there. But you're going to need a buddy to help you, because if you slip down in there, obviously you're going to pinch your fingers down in here. So to even get this air cleaner off, like I said, even if you're doing a PM on this, you have to remove all this cover, this side cover, and this front to be able to do that. So that was the one thing that I didn't like about it. Now I called the factory and asked them if there something that I'm not seeing here, and they told me that the frame might have been bent. Well, this is all aluminum cast back in here. The bottom is steel, but there's nothing that's dented. I mean, it's right up against the foam protector on this cover around the wheel housing. So it's difficult. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to be able to get to remove this here. Okay, first thing we got to do is we have to remove the wheels on this side. Okay, and these are 10 here on the wheels. Just go ahead and pull them off, set them to the side. And we have 2 here. One here, and there's one here. And we can go ahead and pull that all off. Set that to the side. And now there are the actual 2 bolts that hold the spindles on here. We got to remove the 2 outer ones, and them are also 10. And you got to just use a short socket. Now I put a block under here, obviously, because I'm taking the tires off. Let's go ahead and remove these 2 outer ones. And obviously you can't see them, but underneath there's 2 of them that hold that shaft up there. And we're taking the outer ones off. Get this one here. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and, these are 8 around the outer edges of this, okay? So let's go ahead and remove those. And then we should be able to pop our cover. Now just careful you don't lose your screws or anything. challenge. There we go. Got it off. Get that, set that to the side. And make sure you collect your screws, and we'll show you the next step. All right, now that we've got the side all removed, we got to go ahead and remove our front panel here also. Now this won't come with it. Obviously that'll stay. But let's go ahead and get, these are all 8s again too. This one's a little easier to get off here. Make sure you collect your screws again. Set that to your side. Now we've got to remove this cover because we got to get access to the air cleaner from this side. So it's fairly simple here. It's just a lot of steps, you know. Remove that. There's like 5 of them here. And this pulls out fairly easy. And again, like I said, make sure you collect your screws so you got them. And we'll go ahead and pull this out. Slide that. Grab this box here, and we're just going to set it to the side, and we'll show you the next steps. Okay, now that we've got the front and the side removed, now we've got pretty good access to this. Now we have to remove this little resistor, I guess it is. I've already loosened up the screw here. So go ahead and this way it makes it a heck of a lot easier to get to that. Just set it to the side. And we can pop our air cleaner off now. Now you can get access to the thing. You still have to pull this up to get that bottom one down. That's what I'm saying. So there's some stuff on here that they should have changed. But there we go. And then we can pull that out. All right, we'll show you the next step. All right, now that we've got our cover off, they have a center section of the air cleaner. Again, these are 8s. Go ahead and remove those. We got 3 on this side, and then we have 3 on the other side. And one more down here. And that will expose our center, or our back of our air cleaner, I'm sorry. And then we'll go ahead and show you the next steps on that removal. Okay, now before we remove our nuts holding the back cover on, what we're gonna do is there's a vibration bracket nut back here. This is 10 millimeter. Go ahead and remove that. Okay, that loosens up the bottom of that. And we're gonna go ahead and pull our vent lines off here. Okay, and then just uncap these little twists up here holding on the air vent tube going over to the rocker cover there. So just go ahead and pop that up, and we'll go ahead and pull this off. All right, set that to the side, and now we've got everything removed. Just kind of tuck stuff out of your way back here now. We're getting a little bit more closer to the access of what we need, so let's go ahead and tuck that back, and we'll show you the next steps. Okay, we've got everything off the back. Now we can go ahead and remove our 2 nuts here, and these are 10s also. That, all right, set that to the side. One here, and now we can go ahead and pull this off, and now we've got access to the gasoline carb, and we'll show you the next steps. Okay, now what we're going to do is go ahead and pull your plate off here, slide your gasoline carb right off, just set it to the side. We have to pull these out. Obviously when we put our adapter on there, it pulls this away a little bit, so I have found that they're already really close. You don't got to back these out far, they're that close. But I put vice grips on there, lock them down tight, and don't just try to turn it. Kind of come back and then snap them down. They'll come loose a lot easier for you. Now, I've did this a few times, obviously, because I've had to do the design work on it. But we've got the studs pulled out, so we're going to go ahead and install the gasoline carb back on here. Okay, make sure your plate's on there. Okay, now the gaskets are already there from the factory on that. So we'll go ahead and install our adapter on here. Okay, we'll supply you with the gasket here. And we'll get that set on there. And then we'll go ahead and get our metal plate back on here. There we go. And we'll go ahead and we're going to loosely do this for now, just to make sure everything looks good. And get that one on there. And there's plenty of meat in these studs back here. You're not backing them out that far, so we'll go ahead and just snug these a little bit, not much, and then we'll go ahead and show you the next steps. Okay, now that we've kind of snugged our studs down, what we're going to do is now the vibration bracket back here, this one was loose. There's a little bolt back there on the engine. If you have to, you can pull the battery out, just loosen that a little, but this pulled right forward for me. And then just go ahead and get your nut back on there. And again, like I said, that's a 10 back there. And once we snug this down, we'll go ahead and finish snugging our inside ones here. And then that process is done. All right, got that. We'll go ahead and just snug these down now. Good and snug. There we go. Now we can go ahead and hook our lines back up. All right, and get our air breather back on here. Slide our hose back down in this. You just got to wiggle this one around a little bit till you feed it in there. All right, there we go. And then just go ahead and take their cables that they had, fasten them back around those. That way it holds your hoses back up. And that is that step there. We'll go ahead and show you the next steps. All right, we could go ahead and get our center cover back on here. We've got everything else mounted back up on there we need to. I just kind of hand do them for now. That way you'd make sure you don't strip them. You strip them, then you got to tap them, and I've stripped them before, believe me, and it's a nightmare after that. Okay, we got two more here. We'll go ahead and snug them down, and don't overdo them. Just got a little rubber fill in there, nothing major. So, all right, now for the fun part again, getting this cover back on. Now I found it easier to slide it back up in this way. Make sure you got your vent holes on the bottom. You might have to pull this back a little bit, kind of slide it in there. All right. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the top. Now, I don't have a buddy here with me, so hopefully I don't pinch my fingers here. And I'm just going to go back here again, pull this up, and hopefully I can get that to go around. It's challenging, I'll tell you that. All right, I got it clipped. All right, and then we'll go ahead and start putting this other stuff on. Okay, now on this unit, they do not have a gasoline shutoff valve, a manual one. it's automatically fuel flow. So we have to put a shutoff valve. Now, this is the back of the switch from the front, okay? And then if you see the stuff moving here, you've got up being off, and then it's got in the middle being run. And then you have on the bottom to start and choke. And that would be only for your gasoline, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, there's your hose coming off your tank. There's a hose going into this. On the back side of this, there's a hose back here, okay? What we're going to do is take that out and just make sure you got room. Cut that. Now, before you do this, if this is not a brand new unit and you've had gas in here, drain all the gas out because you'll have gasoline all over. So go ahead and cut the line. And we'll go ahead and slide one of our clamps over that will supply you. And these are tight in here, so it's hard to fight them sometimes. Sometimes you gotta put a little soap on them. Once you get it going, you got it. So go ahead and pull that clamp up over there. And then make sure before you do this next one, you slide the clamp on first. And this next one's a little tougher than that first one. Come on, clamp. There we go. Get that fed through there. Like I said, this one's a little tougher, but you can fight it on there. It'll go, that's for sure. It's so tight in there, everything is difficult to work with, but almost got it here. There we go. And just keep on pushing it on there. All right, now we can slide the clamp up. Get that on there with some pliers. Now you've got a manual gasoline switch on there, and just kind of tuck it back in there. And then what you're doing basically is you're shutting your fuel off, your gasoline, when you're running your alternative fuel. So make sure your ball valve's off, okay? That way you can run your natural gas or propane. Now, if you ever want to go back to gasoline with it, you obviously will run your alternative fuel off, pull your cover off. You don't got to remove all this, obviously. Just pull your cover and just go ahead and turn that on. So that's that step there. Okay, now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. This is that thing some relay. I don't know exactly what it goes to, but we'll go ahead and get that mounted back up there before we start putting the covers back on. So, I mean, it's not all that difficult. There's just a lot of steps involved. But once you get it done, I mean, you'll really enjoy the benefits of what it's going to do for you, you know. Let's go ahead and lock that down. All right. Now we'll go ahead and get our cover set back up here. Oh, there we go. And just kind of feel around it, you know, kind of look at things. Make sure they're lined up before you pop anything in. Just walk around it and look. And you got to put this side before you put the front on, because there's a couple bolts over here that go through to it. Okay, that looks good there. So let's go ahead and get a couple. And we're just loosely doing this right now, just until we get it all lined up and secure. There's a few screws around, that's for sure. There we go. And we got one more over here. All right. And then we got one more here. going to do is, remember the two bolts up on the bottom here. We'll get them installed back on there. Alrighty. We'll snug these down here. That way we're done with that step. Alright, we got one more over here. Alrighty. Now we'll go ahead and install this tire back on. Then you can kind of snug down. And then of course we got our front here, and get our tire slid on. And you got the two bolts in the back there. Again, them are 10s. We're just going to loosely get them going there. Same with this one. And you just got to work with it a little bit, give it a feel. And before we tighten it, obviously, we want to get our bolt on here. That way we got room to kind of move it around. The brackets aren't all perfectly lined up, so go ahead and lock that down. Lock that down. Lock it down. We got that. That's the front cover. It's all locked down and everything's good. And we'll go ahead and show you the next steps on the front cover there. All right, now that we've got our cover all back on the side here, on the front of it, we're going to go ahead and get this back mounted. You just got to kind of pull it together. It's real easy to slide back in. Just get it lined back up. And again, these are all 8s. And we'll get these started here. Just hold it up for us. Here, and then we got one more in the center here, and then we'll go ahead and lock these down, and that is that step there. We'll go ahead and show you the next step. Okay, now we'll go ahead and install our front panel cover here. Just go ahead and pop it all in. You're all set. And again, this is all 8 here, so we'll go ahead and get this set here. And we only got a few of these left on the top. And then we'll go ahead and get our bottom ones, and then we'll lock it down. Just go ahead and get these. Okay. All right, go ahead and lock them all down now, and that finishes up that step. And then now we're going to go ahead and show you the regulator installation steps. Okay, now what we're going to do is go ahead and install our bulkhead fitting. What we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole through here, okay? And that way, when we attach this in there, you don't have to remove the cover. The hose will come out and everything will be sturdy right there. You don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mark over from the corner here. We're going in the center of this, okay? So we're going to come over and mark 2 3/4 of an inch. Make you a mark in the center there. And then what I do is I'll use one of these bits here, and you're just going to drill out until the size of this. It's right around 3/4 of an inch. So just enough for that to clear through. So let's go ahead and we'll get this drilled out. All right, we'll get that installed and we'll show you the next step. All right, now that we've got our hole all cleaned out here, this is obviously going to go back. But what we got to do first is we're going to install the hose on here. Okay, go ahead and get your clamp down. And tighten your clamp up. This makes this a little easier for this step here, so go ahead and do that. We'll get our other clamp set on here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down, feed this tube up on here, on the fuel tube, and then we'll bring our fitting over. All right, and we'll bring our clamp up here and install that. Tighten that down. All right, and now we'll go ahead and get our lock washer on this fitting here. Now this is probably going to turn on you a little bit, so just we'll see here. I might have to get a this is a 1 inch too, just so you know. Oh, that's going to work great. Go ahead and lock that down, and then we got another fitting here we're going to install. We'll supply you a smaller thing of compound for this here. All right, and then this fitting here, what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it in a position about right there, maybe 230. Yep, see that turned in the back on me there. Go ahead and get that on there. That'll help hold that at least. All right. No, it's not going to work that way. We're going to have to get something a little bit. It's tough to get back in there, that's for sure. Okay, now that we've got our bulkhead installed here, I did have to grab onto this back in the back a little bit more to hold it. You don't have to have this really tight. I mean, obviously you want it as tight as you possibly can get it without over exerting it, but there's only 6 ounces of pressure here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount our regulator assembly. Now we've made this bracket here special for this so you don't have to cut into your cover or anything. And so what we're going to do is get our cover mounted up on here. Okay, set it up on there, and this bracket is going to go right here, and we're going to replace the existing bolts with some longer ones here, and then this gives it a nice clean setup. Makes it real nice. Now you can, you know, you got to pull this off anyway to get to the cover, so this way you're not drilling into any of this. Go ahead and lock that down, and our last step is we're going to go ahead and get our hose connected here and get that set up there. Get our bottom. We're going to go around this bracket here, and it clears it nice. Okay, get that there, and we'll go ahead and lock these down. And you know, there is a lot of steps on this, but I'll tell you, it's nice when it gets done. Boy, you can really utilize it good on the alternative fuel. So now we'll go ahead and get ready to show you how to fire this up. Okay, now what we're going to first do is we're going to hook this up to natural gas. All right. Now, if you buy the hose from us, we deal only with Parker. If you can see in the inside of this, it's an open orifice. The ones that they sell online that have the closed orifice in them will not work for this size of a unit. You got to have open orifices. So if you look on our website, go to the generator accessories, you'll see these here. And we sell them up to 50-foot increments. So all this will come with the hose kit. if you get the natural gas. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this up. Again, you don't have to over kill these because you're only dealing with 6 ounces of pressure. So let's go ahead, get that, and we'll get our line connected up here, and we'll go ahead and fire it up. Okay, now before we run this on our alternative fuel, like I said, we're going to do natural gas first and then we'll do propane. You have your switch on the front, okay? Obviously, this is the off position. When you're running natural gas or propane, obviously we put the manual shutoff valve in the inside. Make sure that that is shut off. You're going to switch this to the run position. You don't want to go to start or choke with this on natural gas or propane because the regulator craves vacuum is how it opens, and then when you close the choke, it doesn't give you enough signal there. So go ahead and put that on run there, and then we'll go ahead and start this up. All right, and then on the back of this unit, there's a primer button. So let's go ahead and turn our natural gas on, hit the button in the back, have it on run, hit your crank. We'll preset these here as close as we can. Now every engine and every meter is a little bit different, so this one started pretty quick for me, so now we'll go ahead and show you the propane steps. Okay, now we're going to set it up to run propane. Now obviously we're going to remove this quick connect here and use the regulator assembly that we supply with the kit for the propane, the tri-fuel. We'll go ahead and get this taken off. Again, put you some compound on the fitting here. Again, we'll supply you some of that. And we'll get this tightened. Again, it doesn't have to be extremely tight. You know, you're just still dealing with 6 ounces of pressure even with the propane side because of the high pressure regulator at the tank. So we'll go ahead and mount that. We're going to mount it straight out, and we'll go ahead and get our propane line hooked up. You don't need no pipe dope on this. This is a flare. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that down. And again, let's go ahead and turn our propane tank on. Go ahead and hit this. Now this is adjusted for natural gas because we just did it. We'll see how close it is for the propane. Hit the button on the back, the primer button. That's that. I'll show you the next step. Okay, well, finally, that's all of the steps it takes to do the Predator 9500. Now, again, we tried to custom this a little bit nicer instead of drilling into the cover and stuff like that. We made a bracket for this one here. So this is a pretty good setup for this generator. Obviously, it takes a little bit to do it. Once you get involved, it's really not horribly that bad. It isn't. It took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to do it. And these, again, are custom kits. This is designed specifically for this unit and this unit only. Everything is pre-assembled for you. You get it out of the box, you're ready to install it. Again, we've showed you the natural gas steps. We showed you the propane steps. If you're interested in purchasing these kits from us, you can go to our website at pngtechnologies.com, or we could be reached at 734-992-2648. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it helps out, and have a nice day.